Hello guys, welcome back to this channel, and in this video we're going to continue the cloning GTA series. So in this part of the video we're going to continue from where we left off. So in the previous videos we were able to create this. So due to copyright reasons I had to change the characters. So we have our first character over here, and then we can switch to our second character, and then we can also switch to our third character. Our player can walk, run, and then jump. So this is where we left off. Let's continue. So in this, I'm going to be using this character as my base character for now. And then, so for this character, we open the character and then our player follow camera. First off, let's go over to the body and then let's move it. Let's bring the game view over here so we can see. Let's take the camera side to 1. Let's put the offset at 0.7 and then the height of 0.25. So this would look like a third person character in game. A character is on the left. So after setting that, let's duplicate our player follow camera. And then for this one, let me right click, prefab. So for this one, let's rename this one to player aim camera. And inside this one, let's set the priority to 20. So this one will be the one active. And then for the vertical field of view, let's leave it at 40. Then let's reduce the camera distance. So it's like the aim mode. Uh, so 1.5 is better. So if we run our game and see how it will look. So this is it. I have it over here. If I turn this one on, if I put this one at 20, you can see it switches back to the third person mode. If I take this to 10, it switches to the aim mode. So we are going to be using code to change between that when we click on the aim button. So we go over to our assets. Let's create a new script and let's call this third person shooter. So after creating the script, let's drag and drop it onto the player. And then let's open this in VS Code. So once we have our third person shooter script open, let's remove this. And over here, let's say using scene machine. And then let's come over here inside this class, let's say private scene machine virtual camera. And let's call this aim virtual camera. So in order to access this inside our Unity editor, let's put serialized in front here. Serialized field. Yeah. So in order to switch between the aim camera and then the follow camera, over here we can say we create the update. But first we need to set up the input first. So inside Unity, we go over to the player armature, and then we can see that the starter asset uses the new Unity input. So that is what we are going to be using. So we have it over here. So you can click on this one, you can scroll down over here to the player input. You click on the starter asset input action, and then you open the starter asset input action. So you should have something like this. So our aim is going to be something like the sprint, because we'll press and hold, so we can create new action. So we can say right click, add action, and let's call this aim, and then let's set it the same as the sprint. So inside the sprint is pass through, and then control type is any. So we use the same thing over here. So pass through and then any. And then for the binding, let's create the first binding, which is which input it should use. The binding, you can click on the path, you click on listen, and then let's click on the right mouse button, and yeah, and then let's choose keyboard or mouse, and then let's create another binding. Let's add another binding, and then this one, let's search for gamepad, and then left trigger, and then let's choose gamepad for this one, and then we save the asset. Saving the asset, let's open our starter asset input, which is this one. Let's open the file. Since our aim is going to be the same as the sprint, we can simply copy the sprint, and then let's call this one aim, and then we scroll down to the sprint function here on, and then let's call this on aim, and let's call this one as well. Let's change this one to on aim as well, aim input, and then we scroll down to this sprint input. Let's copy, and then let's name this one to aim input. Let's say aim is equal to new aim state, and then we save this. New aim state. So let's copy this one and then paste it over here as well. Yeah. So let's save this. Go back into our third-person shooter, and then let's say using starter assets. Yeah. And then let's say private starter assets input. Let's call this starter asset input. Let's create an awake function. So the awake function is the first function run when the game starts. So we can say private void awake. And inside this awake function, we initialize our starter input asset. This one, we initialize this. Set input with an S. Yeah. Then we say starter. And then inside the update, we can check if the player has clicked on the right mouse button. So we can say if starter assets input asset dot aim, then we set our aim virtual camera, we set the game object, and then the set active function, we set it to true, and then else if the player has not clicked on it, we set that one to false. So let's save this. Yeah, over here is supposed to be starter. Yeah, let's save this. So inside our third person script, first of all, let's turn off our game object, the player aim. Since the priority is already set to 20, once it is activated, that would be the active camera. And then over here, let's drag and drop our aim camera. So we can paste over here, and then let's hit play. So inside our game, when we click on the right mouse button, you can see the camera slowly zooms in. We let go, it zooms out. Inside the main camera, and then the scene machine brain, we can see the default blend. There's easing out, and then it takes 2 seconds. So let's reduce that to 0.1, and then let's say we right click, you can see the camera zooms in instantly. We let go. So that is perfect. We have everything working now. And the next thing we can do is setting the sensitivity. So inside the aim mode, we want the camera to move a little bit slower than the normal mode. So for that, we go over to our third person controller, which is this script. Let's open the script in VS Code, and over here you can see there's a lot of code. So over here, let's create a new variable over here. So let's say public float sensitivity, and then let's scroll down to late update camera rotation, and then here we have it, the camera rotation. So inside this camera rotation, we multiply this, we multiply it by the sensitivity. So we say multiply by sensitivity, and then over here too we do the same, we multiply by the sensitivity, and then at the bottom over here, let's create a new function. Let's say public void set, let's say float new sensitivity, and over here we can say the sensitivity, we set it equal to this new sensitivity. Sensitivity equal to new. Let's copy this and move it over here instead, and Control S to save. So let's go back into our third person shooter script. And over here, let's create new serialized field. So for this one, let's say float. Let's call this aim sensitivity. Let's create another serialized field. For this one, let's call it normal sensitivity. So when the aim is true, we set the sensitivity. Here, let's say private third person controller, and then let's call this third person controller. And then over here, we can say third person controller dot set sensitivity, and then we set the sensitivity to the aim sensitivity because we are in the aim mode. And then let's copy this, paste it over here. We are not initializing our third person controller, so inside the awake function here we can say the third person controller, and then we get component. The reason why we can use get component is because this file is also on the same game object. They are all on the same game object. So and then we can say third person